Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today on the Dungeon Dive, we are going to take a look at Notorious, hard scrabble bounty hunting amid intergalactic war, a game by Jason Price. Notorious is a solo RPG that does benefit from some journaling. So side by side here, I do have my handy dandy Dungeon Dive notebook that you can get on TeePublic, and I just uploaded a new design. I'll show a picture here, designed by Waclaw Treyer, the designer of Doom Pilgrim. So Notorious is basically a space western. It is a space bounty hunting game. And space bounty hunters are super popular. That is a very, very popular trope within the a subgenre of science fiction. Of course, we have this Star Wars bounty hunters, Mandalorian. We have Blade Runner, things like Firefly, Cowboy Bebop, and Space Hunter. A lot of the things that we think of as science fiction are really just kind of westerns set in space. So science fiction can be both a genre and a setting. And so this is definitely kind of a space western where you are taking the role of a bounty hunter. You will be working for different factions, going out, trying to find leads, trying to track down information to find your target and then neutralize that target, thus fulfilling your bounty. So in this video, we will do a quick overview of the game. I will do some gameplay examples, and then we will talk in general about my feelings about the game. Spoiler alert, I think this is a pretty great game, and I think it is especially good for beginners because it does have some good direction, and you know kind of what to do. There's a good gameplay loop involved in Notorious. So let's first take a look at the game here. Let's read a little bit about what kind of game this is. Notorious is a sci-fi tabletop role-playing game for one player. It can be played as short one-shot adventures or as a series of anthology stories. I do like that. And by the way, I was a backer of this. This was on Kickstarter about a year and a half ago, I think, and it delivered sometime late last year. Play to tell stories of the Nomads, notorious bounty hunters who strike fear among the scum and villainy of the universe, and follow a dubious code of honor. In the midst of an intergalactic war, you've been given a lucrative contract by one of 6 factions. The job is simple: bring the target back, dead or alive, no disintegrations. Search for leads on planets affected by the ongoing war and make helpful allies or bitter enemies. Piece together the truth about who your target is and what motivates them while confronting your own murky past. Okay, so the book is laid out in a very logical fashion, and I do like the book quite a bit. You are flipping back and forth between different charts in the book, so I am super grateful for the spiral bounding of the book. I wish more game books this size used a spiral bound. It just makes playing them so much easier, so you can have them splayed open on your table without worrying about breaking the spine. So you have 3 sections. You have your basic section, which is the rules, then your setup, and then your play section. I love the way that this book is organized. We have a quick section on how to use this book. We have the guild code and introduction, and then the guild code. This is your code, your Nomad guild. And you always finish the job. The guild always fulfills a contract. Only kill when necessary. The guild is a blade, not a hammer. Nomads don't fight nomads. The guild values fair competition. Your employer's business is their own. The guild remains neutral. Don't get attached. The guild doesn't deal in good deeds. So these are the code of the Nomads. These are the codes that we follow as bounty hunters in this universe. Quick section on before you play, a quick section on different ways to play. So you have your arcade mode and your story mode. Yeah, basically these are light journaling and heavy journaling. I'm probably doing something in between one of these. Then we have a section on key terms. What is a nomad? Your 3 basic attributes for your nomad, which are notoriety, favor, and motivation. And then you have 4 different ways to interact with the beings that you will meet on your adventures. You can speak, attack, threaten, and recruit. And then there is one more thing you can do, which is searching. When you are playing, you will be doing jobs for different factions. And when you are on jobs, you will meet locals, you will have assets, you will meet hostiles, you will meet leads, and finally, you will meet your target. And the target is the bounty that you have to neutralize. This reaction chart is kind of the governing framework of the game, and it tells you how you can interact with those different things that you might meet. So when you meet a local, you can speak to them and you can recruit them when you are prompted. However, you cannot threaten them and you cannot attack them. When you come across an asset, you have the same opportunities to speak and recruit. When you come up against a hostile, you can't speak to them, but you can threaten them and you can attack them. When you come across a lead, you can speak or attack. When you finally track down your target, you can speak or attack. So this is a chart that you will be looking at multiple times during the game. You might roll up on a chart that says, hey, you come across a local, and then you turn to this chart to see what you can do. And then the following pages have detailed example or detailed charts on each of those interactions. So when you speak to somebody, you will use these pages. When you threaten somebody, you will use these. When you attack, this is the combat mechanism here. Combat is very quick, very easy, and it's very snappy. I like the combat in this game because you aren't dealing, it's not a war of attrition. All of the combat are kind of like duels. They're over very quickly, and I really do appreciate that. When you get a chance to recruit, you will use these charts here, and that kind of ends the first section of the book, and we are given this wonderful, lovely splash page with some amazing art, and I did want to call out the artists in this game. So we have cover illustration and interior art by Torben Buchmeyer. And again, Jason Price was the game design and writing there. I love the art. The muted colors in this game are really, really nice. So then we get to our section on creating our nomad. And there are 6 different kinds of nomads. These are your bounty hunters. These are your classes. We have the armorer, the assassin, the bot, the brute, the scoundrel, and the uncanny. Right now, I am playing as a bot. And my bot's name is DD720. And that is my bot here. And you also will want to generate your target. So my target here is PictoClick. He is wanted for unlawful hive mining, and he is wanted dead or alive. So I have DD720 versus PictoClick. I just wanted to do some quick art design there. But you roll up for a random nomad. So my nomad is a robot. He is calm and calculating. He has a branded logo of the New Uprising. The New Uprising is kind of like they're kind of a renegade faction. And somehow I was captured and they branded me with one of their logo there, which is kind of funny. I was once a sidekick of an infamous nomad. And at one time in my robot life, I did actually feel a tiny bit of respect for a biological adversary, and it disturbed me. And then you will keep track of your favor, your notoriety, and your motivation as you progress through tracking down your target. Your favor and notoriety are tracks, and as you gain more of each, you will have a better chance of finding leads and of eventually finding your target. Your motivation, you can spend your points of motivation to re-roll dice. My robot DD720 is equipped with an auto-tracking laser rifle, which gives me a +2 to combat or a +3 to combat when I am facing off against multiple adversaries. I have a melee weapon. I have a sharp metal limbs, which gives me a +2 to combat. And I have a final kind of go for broke attack, a YOLO attack here, and that is self-destruct. And I can add a 5 to my combat roll. However, that completely ends the game because I die when I do that self-destruct move. I have glowing eyes, whirling pistons, and blast plating, and that gives me a +2 to my defense. Defense is it's a very simple stat in this game. For every point of defense you have, you can block 1 attack. So you will generate your nomad by first rolling up your class there. And here are the different classes and what they have. So the armorer has a certain loadout, And then you will roll a d6 for each chart to determine your origin, your scar, and your trigger. So let's say we were Nomad. We would have a ranged attack of a modified laser rifle and a rocket launcher, and a melee attack of a vibrating blade. We would have a battered helmet, breastplate, and a jetpack, which would give us a certain number of defense against certain kinds of attacks. We would have a basic +2 defense, and then we would also have a +3 defense versus ranged attack. And then you would just roll up your origin, scar, and trigger. These don't have any kind of mechanical benefits. These are basically just kind of story prompts to keep in mind while you are playing that character. Notorious is a solo RPG that is pretty light on the mechanisms that detail the role playing. You will have to bring your own kind of storytelling to the game, and you will use your origin, scar, and triggers as prompts, as guiding principles. So let's see, maybe our origin here would be one of your parents was an infamous nomad and you've inherited their armor. Okay, then maybe your scar was you never remove your helmet or armor in front of others, so nobody can truly know you. Okay, this game was highly influenced by Star Wars, and it says here right at the beginning, themes inspired by Star Wars, especially Empire Strikes Back, Shadows of the Empire, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, and The Mandalorian. And your trigger here, your parents abandoned you on a desolate planet to join the new uprising, promising to return one day. Then we have the assassin class here. We have the bot, that's who I am, kind of an IG-88 type character, although I look a little sillier. We have the brute, smashing stuff with a hammer, a scoundrel, and an uncanny. And then you will roll up your species. Unless you're a bot, you will always use a bot. And there are a number of different species, and they have some suggested names that you can use for when you roll up your species. You will also use this species chart to roll up the species of your target. My target, Pictoclick, was a Lectok, which is an insectoid species. And so we have the Onsiet, the Mini-eyed, the Pellucid, the Crystalline, a Kamano, an amphibious, a Murian, rat-like, a human, ape-like, a Telok, reptilian. Gol is a horned, the Lectok are the insectoid, the Charon are bear-like, the Valk are bird-like, the Samborn are shapeshifters, and then we have our bots there. Then you can roll up on your personality. You have 3 different words that you can choose from with a couple of different prompts. So you might be vain, cocky, or arrogant. And then what do they believe they're famous for, or what garish item of clothing draws attention to them? And then you have a section on your contract. With your nomad established, it's now time to determine who the target is, who is the person you are hunting. Your nomad guild, the guild will provide you with this information. You will learn their name, their species, their personality, the planet they're rumored to be hiding on, the faction who posted the bounty, and the reason for the bounty. And it has steps for creating your contract. Your contract. You will first roll up their species, then you will roll up their personality using the same charts for your nomad. Then you will roll up what planet your story is taking place on. You will choose a faction from those that are represented on that planet, and you will choose one of the faction's reasons for posting their bounty. So here we have our planets, and the planets there are 6 different planets in this game, and the planets have a little snippet of information. They have a kind of common terrain that you will find on the planet. You will have a chart for predominant species that you might run into, and then prominent destinations that you can interact with, and the competing factions. So each planet has 3 factions associated with it. They have a controlling faction, a challenging faction, and a minor faction. Again, there aren't a lot of mechanisms about each one of these things, but there are things that you want to keep in mind as you are generating your stories. And then here we have a listing of all of the different factions. So there are 6 factions. We have the Old Empire, the New Uprising, the Targ Cartel, the Red Moon Syndicate. That's who I'm working for on this job against Pictoclick. So a secretive but influential crime organization run by Zix the 13th, a manipulative and intelligent aristocrat. The Syndicate favors using agents, assassins, and spies over open warfare where possible. And here we have some reasons that they might be hiring you for the bounty. And so that concludes that second section. And again, a very nice splash page of art there. And then we get into the actual game section. And these are the pages that you will be using to track down and eliminate your target. The game has a really nice and easy to follow loop. So you will always start with an exploration. You will roll on an exploration table. You might have to roll on sub-tables while you are exploring the planet that you are on. After you finish rolling up on your exploration tables, then you will roll on your destination tables. You will go to a destination, have some kind of encounter, and you will rinse and repeat until you have found your third lead. The first lead, you will check off on your character sheet once you have found your first lead. Then you will find your second lead. And once you have found your second lead, you have the final clue for when you find your third lead. Your third lead is actually your target. So you are working through different kinds of exploration and destinations until you find 3 leads, at which time you found your target, you deal with your target, and then you have an epilogue. And that is an entire game. And an entire game takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. So when you go for your first part of a turn is your exploration turn, you will roll on this beginning exploration table. And then there will be 3 different subtables that you will roll on depending on what you roll on a D6. You will have these exploration events, and then you will have a destination. You will roll on your destination chart, and then there are 3 different subtables for your different destination events. And then some destinations will have the ability to search. And when you search, you will use this chart here. As you gain leads, you will move over into this section and start using these charts to roll up on your leads and your targets. And eventually, you will have your showdown. And the game kind of does play like Ronin, which is another game that I have taken a look at on the channel before, where you are roaming the land, looking for clues, trying to find out where your target is, and then you will have a final showdown with your target, and then you will have an epilogue, and that will end your game. So let's talk a little bit about what has happened in my game so far with a DD720 trying to track down PictoClick for unlawful hive mining. So DD720 was hired by Jazz Moneman of the Red Moon Syndicate. He has accepted a bounty on PictoClick. PictoClick is wanted for unlawful hive mining under the Red Moon Syndicate controlled crypto casino. Is PictoClick trying to tunnel into the casino? Yes. Why? This is where I asked some questions, and then I used my fate dice to kind of come up with an answer as a very simple oracle for when I needed one, because this game does actually not come with an oracle. So if you want to inject some more role playing into this game, you will have to bring some outside tools to it. So I said that the electro buzzing of the casino machinery was actually messing with Picto's lectok sensory receptors, and it is attracting him. So he kind of can't help but dig these hive tunnels towards the casino. And the Red Moon Syndicate has hired me to basically be a space exterminator. Jazz needs the problem solved before there is a big convention. And so I needed to land on this planet, and the planet that this adventure is taking place on is Ayama. And Ayama is a mega urban planet, a huge city. On Ayama, there are humans, ghouls, and Pellucids. The controlling faction is the Old Empire. The challenging faction is the Red Moon, and they are the faction that hired me. And a minor faction on Ayama is the New Uprising. On Ayama, there are 6 prominent destinations: an outreach embassy, the Red Moon Towers. I said that's where I landed, these high towers that the Red Moon Syndicate owns. We have a lectok junk trawler, kind of like a Jawa, big Jawa tank. the Skyway train station, the Sunbolt spaceport, and the Old Empire Palace. So on planet Ayama, I landed near the Red Moon Towers. I set up a base camp near my ship. The Red Moon Syndicate, they provided a small storage closet for me to rest in. And since I'm a robot, a small storage closet was really all I needed. Overnight, on my first night, a gang of ganger thieves stole some copper wiring from my ship. The copper wiring I used to repair my ship, it actually came out of an old body I once had. The ganger thieves snuck off to their fortified kind of shanty town. It was built upon the remnants of an old empire fort on the outskirts of this mega city. I entered the camp to see that they were handing the wires that they stole over to a master artisan who was using them to build some kind of new robot. The artisan looked my way, and I asked if the gangers, did they spot me? And yes, the gangers spotted me, but I was very easily, I could move into a crowd of armored thugs, and I was able to blend into the background and kind of disappear. I found no sign of my target there, but as I was exiting the ganger shantytown, I was approached by two Besnik gangers, and the Besniks are kind of a pig race. And they approached me on slag scooters. Slag scooters are these scooters that cause massive amounts of pollution, and that's why these Besnik gangers really enjoy riding their slag scooters. And they were working for the master artisan, and they coerced me to come back with them because the master artisan wanted to talk to me about my robot body. But I declined, and then I tried to threaten them because they were hostile, so I could pick to threaten them. But I failed my threaten roll, and so they laughed it off and they attacked me. I was able to defeat one of them. I killed one and I gained some notoriety, and I was able to attack the other, and I let it live so I could ask about what the master artisan wanted. The master artisan wanted to talk to me about robot bodies. I let the ganger go, but I told him to tell the master artisan that I was not interested in discussing that with him. At that time, somebody noticed my new uprising logo that had been blazed onto my body, and they escorted me to a new uprising enclave. And there I was able to search for clues about my target. I met another Lektak, another one of the insectoid race there, the species, and his name was Azado Bibi, and he ended up being my first lead. And he told me that PictoClick was actually being controlled by the electro buzzing of the casino machines and was now basically a zombie bug, and he needs to be stopped before he digs under the casino and the casino collapses into the tunnels. So that's kind of where we are now. Let's play maybe a sample turn or two so you can kind of see how the game plays. A lot of those things that happened to me, I brought to the table through using a simple Fate Dice Oracle system, or just kind of coming up with things based on the prompts that I rolled up. So the first thing we're going to do now is we need to roll on our exploration table to figure out what is going to happen at this junction on the adventure. We will use, let's roll this D6 here. Okay, a 5. So a 5. If your notoriety is 3 or higher, my notoriety is only 2. So as you can see, as you gain notoriety, as you gain favor, it will trigger certain things to happen to your character. So if your notoriety is 3 or higher, you encounter a lead. Okay, so it's not. Otherwise, roll once on the exploration events table. We'll use the pink die here to determine which exploration table. So we are at 2, 4. Okay, so we're at a 2 and a 4. Actually, you know what? I just had that 4. That was when the slag scooters approached me. So I am going to roll up a different result here. A 5. Okay, so you catch the intention of a hoverbike gang. Oh, very similar. Okay, who ride up at a speed and swiftly encircle you. Roll a die. Okay, let's see what happens to me. Lots of hoverbikes on this planet here. I guess people are using them to get around the mega city. A 4 here. Their leader is hostile and fights in melee. What tall tale do the gang spread about your encounter? Okay, so this is a hostile. They fight in melee. He has a +2 to his attack roll, and he has 1 defense. So the hostile, let's see. I can try to threaten the hostile to see if maybe I can make them go away without having to fight them. Because if we turn to our reaction table here, we look up hostile and we can't speak to them, we can threaten them, and we can attack them. So let's try to threaten this gang member. Maybe I'll tell them, I've already dealt with some of your kind before. They were very easy to dispatch, and unless he wants to face the same kind of outcome, basically being dead, then maybe he should leave me alone. So the Nomad die, add half your notoriety rounded up. I have a notoriety of 2, so I get to add 1 to my attack. We'll say the pink die is my die. I need to get higher than the yellow die in order to threaten this ganger. 3, 4. So we tied. You have to get higher, so that is a 6. That is a failure. You're not as scary as you thought you were. The hostiles start to fight with you. Resolve an attack action and add 1 to their roll on the first roll. Okay, so then now we are in combat, and we are in melee combat because as we saw here, they are fights in melee, and he gets a +2, so he's actually going to get a +3 on his first roll. My melee is my sharp metal limbs, and I drew these kind of like blades on my legs and on my arms, and I get a +2. So basically, the enemy is going to get a +1 to his roll here. Pink will be my roll. All right, 3 and 3, so it is a tie. Okay, because I did not roll higher than my opponent, then I failed. So I failed an attack. I have a 2 defense, so I can defend against that failed attack, and now we can try again. Now that the first roll is over, my opponent does not get an additional +1, but what was his +2? So actually it's just a +2 +2. So this is an even roll. Pink will be DD 720, 5 and 4. Okay, so I hit my opponent now. Success against a hostile or lead, I can choose my opponent's fate. I can spare my opponent or I can kill. I think I'm going to kill in order to gain more notoriety. Now I have a notoriety of 3. And I told, when I threatened that gang member, I said, hey, you know what? If you don't leave me alone, you are going to die. And I followed through with my promise. Now, if I was playing off camera, I would spend a little more time in fleshing this out in my journal. I'm not going to, I'll spare you the waiting around while I do that on camera. But there are things that you could do, different prompts. You could ask questions. You could maybe spare the gang member and come up with a question to ask them about a lead. Maybe learn some more about the different factions using a simple Oracle system if you wanted to ask some yes or no questions or something like that. Just little ways to flesh out your adventure and to keep track of your story and maybe write up your story at the end of the game. Okay, but that was the exploration part. So that happened on the exploration. Maybe after they killed me or after I killed the gang member, I discovered a location that they were from. And so now I want to go in and have my destination encounter. So I'll turn to the destination, and now we roll up on our destination table. And I rolled a 2. You arrive at a small outpost or enclave run by the challenging faction. The challenging faction on my planet right now is the Red Moon Syndicate. So this is the people who hired me. So keep that in mind. And I can choose one. I can search for anyone who might know the target and gain a favor, or I can speak with a local who works here, then rest to gain 1 motivation. I think I'm going to rest to gain some motivation, so I'll gain 1 more motivation, and motivation I can use for re-rolls. And then I think, so now I will speak with a local. So let's go to the speaking charts here. Okay, speak. So I'm speaking with locals and assets. The Nomad die, add half of your favor rounded up. My favor is 2, so I'll add 1 to the pink die here. And a 6 versus 3. So I succeed in speaking to the local. So now let's see what I learned from this local here. 2. The old empire or new uprising are irrelevant to them. Who exploited the chaos of war and how does it affect the community? As an example, I don't care who wins the war, it's not them I'm worried about. So, this is a character interaction. If you were playing arcade mode, you could just leave it at that. Or you could turn to your species tables and you could come up with the background and species and name of this NPC that you're discussing. You are, I am at a Red Moon Enclave, so maybe I might want to learn some more information about the Red Moon Enclave and develop my story from here. So that's kind of how the game is played. It's very simple. It's very direct. It has good rules. It has good guiding gameplay loop that I do appreciate. I think that Notorious is a pretty good game, especially for somebody who is new into solo role playing, because it does have a very strong background or a very strong backbone. It has a good frame upon which you can build your adventure. The rules are very simple. They are very clear. They are well written. The game is a lot of fun. I think it offers up a lot of variety in just a few amount of pages. The art is really nice. The different prompts do encourage you to get creative with what is going on. There is a lot of variety without a lot of fiddliness, and that is something that I do really appreciate. The game was very easy to learn. It was very quick to set up and to get going, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and I'm looking forward to playing more. I don't think I would continue one character for more than one job. I think I would roll up a whole bunch of different characters, play a character, do a job, and then do another one. I don't think I would play this as a campaign, but as a one-off kind of a serialized adventure, or not serialized, but kind of a hunt of the week style episodic adventure with different bounty hunters, different factions, and different targets could end up being really useful in creating this kind of world of intergalactic bounty hunters. So, all right, you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at Notorious, and we will talk to you later. Bye bye.